Welcome students to Introduction to Canadian History. This is our Week 2 review, Vikings and Other Early European Explorers. This week you read about the Vikings who discovered North America 500 years before any other European explorers. A merchant named Bjarni Herjolfsson was blown off course while sailing to Greenland and sighted a new land. When he arrived in Greenland, he told Leif Erikson about it, who set sail to find it and landed somewhere on the east coast of North America. Leif and his men saw that this new land had everything they needed to survive and more. They had salmon, timber, fruits, and plants. They gave the land the name Vinland the Good. Thorvald Eriksson returned to Finland the following year, but came across a group of native people, and Thorvald was killed during a battle with this group, and his men returned to Greenland. Thorfinn Karlsefni and 250 men and women settled for several years in a small village but abandoned the settlement. It's very possible that they lived in Lance Ox Meadows, the only proven Viking settlement in North America, located in Newfoundland, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is not entirely clear why Thorfinn and his people left, but it's possible that they fought with the other local First Nations people or that the climate was too harsh for them. In 1497, John Cabot arrived in modern-day Newfoundland. Much like other European explorers at the time, Cabot had set sail hoping to find a route to Asia. Cabot and his men were incredibly impressed by the amounts of cod off the shores of Newfoundland. It was also Cabot who gave the modern-day province its name and claimed it in the name of England. Cabot was given money by Henry VII for a second voyage, but he disappeared, most likely lost at sea. The English lost interest in exploring North America because it did not offer the riches they had been looking for. European explorers realized that the waters off the coast of the New World were full of fish. Although this New World did not have the gold and spices they had originally been looking for, the waters off the coast were full of cod, which was in high demand in Europe. The Portuguese discovered that the cod could be preserved in salt and taken back to Europe. French and Spanish whalers also hunted whales for their fat, which could be used as oil. Fishing was the first industry established in Canada by the Europeans, who spent over 100 years traveling back and forth for the fish, but did not explore the land much further than the coast or establish a permanent settlement. The French, hearing about the many riches other countries were discovering in this new world, decided to send their own explorers. In 1524, the explorer Jacques Cartier, who had already been to the New World as a fisherman, was sent on a voyage. Cartier sailed into previously unexplored areas beyond the coast of Newfoundland and into the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Here Cartier encountered a group of Mi'kmaq, with whom he traded. This is the first recorded trade here to take place between the Europeans and the First Nations. It was also during this encounter that he heard their word for village, Canada. He thought this was the name of the whole country, which is how Canada came to be. Cartier also encountered a tribe of Iroquois who lived in a village called Stadacona on the site of modern-day Quebec City. At first, the Iroquois were welcoming, until Cartier placed a large wooden cross on the land, claiming it for France. Cartier also convinced the chief Donnacona to allow him to bring Donnacona's two sons back to France with them. Although they returned safely to Stadacona the following year, Cartier then kidnapped Donnacona and 10 other Iroquois and brought them to France, where they all died, most likely from diseases they had never been exposed to before. Cartier returned for a third time to attempt to establish a colony, which did not succeed because of the harsh winters and the now hostile Iroquois tribe. Samuel de Champlain is known as the father of New France. He established the small fur trading outpost of Port Royal in modern-day Nova Scotia in 1605, and in 1608 he founded what would become Quebec City. Champlain also traveled with the Huron tribe and mapped the coasts of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and New England, which is now part of the United States. By the time Champlain died in 1635, a permanent French colony had been established in Quebec because of his efforts. In addition to exploring and taking advantage of all Canada had to offer, the Europeans believed that it was their duty to convert all the First Nations people to Christianity. The Jesuits, a group of French priests, came to Canada in 1625 and began establishing small missions among the First Nations and provided them with medicine and religious education. Their exploration improved the maps being made of New France. Unfortunately, the Jesuits also brought smallpox with them, which killed thousands of First Nations people. Next week, we will be talking more about the settlement and creation of New France and the fur trade. You will again be reading from the story of Canada. You will also read about the habitants, the voyageurs, and the Métis, as well as about the fur trade and its important role in early Canadian history.